Welcome back, everybody, to Scenic and Emerald's webinar series brought to you by ITTN. We're delighted to have Kay Sion back with us. And for any of you that joined us last week, we are going to be focusing this week on the Mekong River. Of course, we'll have a chance to watch back last week's presentation if you would like to do so. And just a very quick reminder before I hand over the reins to Kay, that we do have another webinar coming up this Thursday where we're going to be looking at the stunning scenic eclipse. It's an absolutely beautiful expedition cruise ship, luxury, I should say, expedition cruise ship. So you really don't want to miss that one. We're going to start again at 9:30. And then next Tuesday, we're going to be looking at Emerald's yacht cruises. So another fantastic webinar for you guys. Obviously, Scenic and Emerald have a huge amount of product within their portfolio, and they obviously operate the two different brands. So we wanted to split up the webinars so that we didn't overload you guys with too much information, but also that you have to get these deep dives into, the differences on the European river cruises. This week, we're looking at the Mekong and so on and so forth. So I'm really excited to have Kay back. Thank you so much again for joining us, Kay. Really, really appreciated. I'm going to wrap up now and pass the reins over to you. I cannot wait to learn about the Mekong River and everything that you guys offer there, because Southeast Asia is just one of my favorite destinations, and it seems to be somewhere that Irish people are really looking to travel to, and they want to do something a little bit different. So I'm delighted that we have you here today. I'm going to stop talking now and hand over to you, Kay. Thank you so much, and I hope you guys enjoy the presentation.
Thank you, thank you. So good morning, everyone. Happy to see you here joining me on, so what Carrie's already mentioned will be a deep dive into the Mekong River. So what I really like about the Mekong River as a river cruise is that it's not, we do get a lot of customers who say, river cruising, I mentioned it last week, right? So that they're like, oh, it's something I'll do when I'm older, and I feel like there's only older people on board. And the Mekong River is different in the aspect that it feels sort of like a long haul exotic destination, and like a river cruise is just part of it. So it's not a river cruise, but it's more of a complete touring program, which the river cruise is just one element. And it's something, that I think attracts all kind of age demographics. So really, really great to deep dive into that. Just to give you a little bit of quick facts as well. So the Mekong River, third longest in Asia, and I think it's the world's 12th longest river, with around over 4,000 kilometers, home to over 20,000 plant species, 430 mammal species. It has over 800 different fish. So even in terms of nature, there's a lot to be seen there. But of course, the focus on the Mekong is, of course, the Mekong lifestyle, right? You're on your balcony, enjoying a drink, just enjoying the views. You get to savor the views that you see from the floating markets, the little villages, the fishermen that go by. You have ancient temples and pagodas that you'll visit on different stops. So I'll come to that shortly as well. You find out more about the sacred belief systems, the communities that live there. You have these really, really traditional villages where it feels sort of like time has stood still when you're there. So you find out about their way of life. But at the same time, cities like Ho Chi Minh, for example, are really, really modern, developed cities that mix that old with the new. So I think that the combination of all that is a fantastic thing to see, actually, and one of the main reasons also to visit the Mekong River. So our ships in that destination, of course, very important as well. We have Scenic Spirit and we have Emerald Harmony. So each brand has one ship sailing on the Mekong River, very similar itineraries, starting either in Ho Chi Minh or close to, and then heading all the way up to Siem Reap, or the other way around. So we do really upstream and downstream, alternating every week, basically. All tours that we have include basically the option of adding a land program, and they're fully escorted by one of our own cruise directors or tour directors. So the guests really feel taken care of. So for example, if guests do a pre-program in Ho Chi Minh City, then go onto the ship and then do another extension program in Siem Reap, they will have the same tour director for the whole program. We only use deluxe hotels as well, with all services, charges, portage fees, all included. And for our land programs, we have a maximum group size of 25 guests for Scenic, and I think it's 30 something for Emerald cruises. So that's important to know. The ships, of course, are a little bit bigger. So Scenic Spirit has 34 suites, so 68 passengers, and Emerald Cruises has 84 passengers, right? But we do have different programs that we offer as extensions to each cruise. So it's never the case that the whole ship does the same extension program, right? So that's something that we really split up as well to offer that diversity. Both ships are built as per European standards, which I think is really important. And we have local management teams in Phnom Penh and Ho Chi Minh City. So complete operation also there, managing all programs, which is really, really a big advantage as well. And we have a full Asian crew, mainly coming from Vietnam, coming from Cambodia. We also have some crew from Myanmar. So they're also there to, of course, I mean, the Asian hospitality, I have to say, it's just, really fantastic. So hospitable, so friendly, so welcoming. But also they give you some insights, of course, from their countries. I mean, they're locals in the country, and we see that the guests really, really love talking to them also when they're on the ship. And of course, the cruise director or the tour director being on board. So all the tours that, let's say all the excursions, at the end of the excursion, sometimes, you want to ask your guide a question, but then you forgot, and then the excursion is finished, you're back on the ship, and you say, I should have asked him that. But here, they just sail with the guests, right? So you can always keep asking them questions, which, I think is really, really nice, really, really nice add-on as well. So for those who maybe didn't log in last week, just a quick reminder. So Scenic is really our ultra all-inclusive program. It's really our 5-star ship. All-inclusive, meaning that all you have to do is add flights for your guests, right? Into Cambodia, into Vietnam, or out of Vietnam. Apart from that, we have the airport transfers included. We include butler service for all suites. We include complimentary Wi-Fi. We include all the gratuities. Even when the guests are on shore excursion and they want to tip their guide, it's already all taken care of. We include all meals, all drinks, and of course, all excursions, which is really, really an important factor, knowing that it's just a complete package that the guests have really nothing else to pay in addition, unless of course they want to book a massage. But apart from that, up to 2 excursions per day, really the choice of different excursions. So I'll go into detail on one of our itineraries just to give you a little bit of an idea. But first, just to give you some insights as well over Scenic Spirit. So I mentioned last week in our European river cruising that we have one main restaurant, which is the Crystal Dining, where the guests have breakfast and lunch in a buffet form with a little additional a la carte menu. And then every night, a 4-course set a la carte menu. Menus changing every night. Here you see the difference in look and feel. So the ship is, of course, built as per European standards, but of course, it's completely matched in the design to the destination where we are. So it has these dark wood interiors, really different decor. We have a mix of course, also some international dishes, but also a really vast choice of Asian dishes for the guests to choose from. You can make it as spicy or not, as you'd like. So the chefs are really good at adapting that to whatever the guests would like to have. And we sometimes even have a very typical lunch option. So for example, we have one day where we have like these fried spiders and beetles and things like that we bring on board for guests to try. Because I mean, it is very typical. And guests just love the possibility of having that on the ship. So yeah, definitely food-wise, very, very exciting. We have our river cafe where guests can have snacks in between. We have some salads there as well, some bowls, of course, the fresh breads. So all that choice as well. And then we move on to really our lounge where guests can relax and have a drink, read a book, just enjoy the time. Of course, a lot of time is spent outdoor as well. So we do have our outdoor pool area with a separate bar that guests can really relax in when they've come back from their tours, just to sort of cool off a little bit. So really nicely done. I already mentioned guests have the option of booking a massage if they would like. So that option is definitely there. And the ship also offers some onboard entertainment. So depending on the itinerary you are, we'll bring some local entertainment on board. I'll get into that a bit later when I go into the detailed program. But again, it's all about bringing the destination close to the guests. So really immersing the guests in everything that is Vietnam and Cambodia, even when they're on the ship. So that's something that's really, really important for us. So on Scenic Spirit, we have all balcony suites. That's really important to note. The category that you see on your screen right now is our deluxe suite at 32 square meters. That is the lead-in category. Yeah, so we really have the most spacious lead-in suites on the Mekong River, all with a queen-size scenic slumber bed, the pillow menu. Again, just like in Europe, we have the Scenic Sun Lounge where you can move the window up or down on the balcony. So again, up to the guests to choose. We want to have the AC on, or we just want to enjoy, the bustle of what's going on outside our window. So we just keep it open. Really, really up to them. Always with a separate bedroom and lounge area. Yeah, so here you can see it's quite spacious actually as a suite. With a separate bathroom, of course, also quite spacious, and then all with butler service again. So basically, heading into the itineraries, we do have different options. So we basically start with a cruise-only program, which is 7 or 9 nights, depending on the seasonality. So in the rainy season, in the green season, we do the same itinerary in 9 nights instead of 7 nights. Basically, more of a slow cruising concept. We just take our time with the itinerary. And to this cruise-only itinerary, we always add different land extensions. So this is really the classical one, the one I just mentioned earlier, 2 nights in Ho Chi Minh City, 7 or 9 night cruise, followed by 3 nights in Siem Reap. Yeah, so this is really what most of our guests choose to do. You can see that I mentioned October 24 until December 25. So basically, we're there 10.5 months a year. Only in the month of June and the first half of July, we don't have any sailings. That counts for both Scenic and Emerald cruises. But apart from that, we're there year-round, making it pretty easy to find a date for your customers to book a tour. So yeah, I think we do have, of course, smaller ships having a little bit less availability, but due to that large number of departures, it's pretty easy to find a date. So if I start the itinerary in Ho Chi Minh City, so here we start with 2 nights at a hotel. We work with Scenic at the Caravel Saigon, which is right in the center of town. And we've chosen the Caravel not only due to its location, but also because it allows us to have club rooms with club floor access for our guests. Which is just an additional perk, an additional benefit that we wanted to offer them. And they can just walk right out of the hotel, and they're really in the middle of the town. They can walk to the markets, different highlights of the city, making it really, really easy. Of course, we have excursions that we organize there as well as part of our Scenic all-included package. So for example, we do an excursion to the Cu Chi tunnels. We go to the War Remnants Museum. And one of our most popular tours is a Vespa foodie tour at night that we offer as one of our optional excursion options. And you can see the guests are luckily not driving these Vespas themselves, but they get driven and they stop at different, basically like street food markets and get to try the local specialties of the city. So it's really a big highlight of the tour. And so on day 3, after the 2 nights in Ho Chi Minh, really already sort of, getting into the whole feel of the whole vibe of the destination, we transfer the guests to My Tho, which is outside of Ho Chi Minh City, around 1.5 to 2 hours. The reason being that Scenic Spirit, the ship is too high to sail into Ho Chi Minh City. So yeah, we can't go under the bridge. Emerald Harmony does actually dock right in Ho Chi Minh City, but for Scenic, it's a little bit outside. And so once the guests are on board, of course, they have a cocktail reception hosted by our cruise director. So the guests begin their cruise in style. They sort of have time to familiarize themselves with the ship, meet their butler, have all their preferred things get ready, for example, the pillow menu or whatever they want in the minibar. So all of that sort of gets ready. And then they start basically on a 4-hour sail, bringing the guests to Kai Bay, where the ship will anchor overnight. Yeah, so Kai Bay will be then the place where we start excursions the next day. A lot of the excursions take place in what is called a sampan. So you'll see it in the next slide. It's sort of like these little wooden boats that come to the ship and pick the guests up and then bring them really to the different tours. So in Kai Bay, they have the local morning floating market that they can see. We have different industries, French colonial, traditional Vietnamese houses that they can see. We have also the possibility of having an afternoon tea at this really French colonial house where the staff will welcome the guests with tea, with coffee, local fruit and snacks. There's a local band playing traditional songs. So again, really, really different options to really go into the interests of each individual guest. So here you can see the sampan. So that's one of the boats that the guests then travel in. In Sadek, again, we use the sampans, and the guests have the possibility to interact with sellers on this really lively wet market where they see live fish, frogs, even snakes. And they're like 2 hours more or less. They really get to explore and deep dive into that local lifestyle, which is quite exciting. And then once basically at the end of the tour, in the evening, the guests can just come back, enjoy a dip in the pool, have a drink, and then they just see the sunset over the Mekong River. And so we do really then only start setting sail more or less around 6 hours before we reach Tan Chau on the next day. So Tan Chau is a perfect example of what we would call leaving the city life behind. So this is home to the Trasu Bird Sanctuary and the Trasu in the Trasu Forest. And guests can travel through these endless waterways, and they're flanked by mangroves, this really lush greenery. It's this huge eco reserve. I think it's around 850 hectares. So it's quite large, and it's an ecological haven for fauna, for flora. It has over 100 different water bird species that reside in this area. Yeah, so also really, quite impressive. And for nature lovers, definitely a big highlight. If guests say, it's nice, but I don't really, not so interesting to me, they also have the possibility of exploring more the community side of Vietnam. So we go to Evergreen Island. They can sort of find out more about by talking to local farmers, how they work, what their life is like. And then back in Tan Chau, they have the possibility to experience a ride in what's called a xe loi. It's sort of like a motorized rickshaw. And it's a very common form of transportation that is used in the rural parts of Vietnam. And those rickshaws will take the guests to the Cao Dai temple, which you can see here in the picture. And the Cao Dai is, it's a religion, basically monotheistic, which is established in southern Vietnam in the 1920s, more or less. And it combines ideas from Buddhism, Christianity, Taoism, Confucianism. And the guests will learn more about this mix of ideas there that form the basis of this religion. So again, exploring also more into that whole cultural side, of course, of the country. So yeah, guests definitely have different excursion options. And so here you see what I was talking about with local entertainment. So in the evening, guests will have a themed dinner on board the Scenic Spirit, and then they have a lion dance performance, which is then done by locals out on the sun deck. Yeah, so this is like part of some entertainment that we want to add for our guests. Again, bringing in those traditional little elements that really make the difference when you are sailing on the Mekong. And then we've already reached Phnom Penh. So here again, different types of scenic free choice excursion options. One of them being the Killing Fields and a tour to the Tuol Sleng prison. These locations are very popular for the guests just because, they're a reminder of the terror that was unleashed by the Khmer Rouge regime. And it's not really a delightful tour, so it's not something fun, but it does explain the development that the country has been through. So they really do unlock a lot of information by visiting this area. Another totally different scenic free choice excursion is a hands-on cooking class. So then the guests would go to a local market with a chef, purchase ingredients, head back to the kitchen, and they sort of prepare their own lunch, testing out styles and flavors of the Cambodian cuisine. And then another possibility is to go by tuk-tuks to visit different buildings with French architecture and a little bit more the history of Phnom Penh. They go to the central market for some shopping. So again, really offering a wide choice that everybody could be interested in. The Mekong has quite a few scenic and rich moments. So for those who didn't tune in last week on our European river cruise, Scenic has on all cruises something called Scenic and Rich, which is a really special, always on location event. So in Europe, it's a classical music concert in a little castle that's exclusively for scenic guests. In the Mekong, we have different types of activities that are part of Scenic and Rich. And it's always something special that the guests can't just randomly do on their own. So in this case, in Phnom Penh, we have a city lights tour, which we organize with those little tuk-tuk type of transportation. And then after doing the city lights tour, we bring the guests to a distillery where they have an exclusive after hours sunset drinks tour and tasting. Yeah, so that's also really part of that Scenic and Rich program. Then continuing again onto Phnom Penh, so we're there for a bit more than just one day. You have the possibility, of course, of seeing the opulent side as well of the city. We see the Royal Palace and the gardens. We'll see also the famous silver pagoda. I don't have a picture of that right now, but it's also, just the pagoda with the really big, thin silver, spire, I think it's called. We go to Udong, where the guests will take a short drive to go there. And this is where it's an old monastery. So there the guests have the possibility to witness the life of the monks and nuns who are residing at this monastery. And if they're lucky, depending, of course, on the date, sometimes there's even the option of joining in one of the many festivals and customs that are often held right here in Udong. And so another great tour during the Mekong is going to Silk Island. So there, the residents are dedicated to the art of silk weaving, as was expected. And it's on the island of Ok Nha Tay. And the guests, they go by tuk-tuk to the farm and they learn about the process of silk production. That's in the morning. In the afternoon, the guests then go to Angkor Ban, where they see more the historical rural wooden houses which survived the Khmer Rouge. They visit a school that teaches English to local students. So again, it's a little bit of integrating also with the local communities, sort of finding out their way of life. I think it's important for the guests to really immerse themselves again in that destination. After the tours of today, the ship will continue sailing onto Kampong Cham, where again the next step will be, because they will go to Wat Han Che as well, which is an ancient hilltop pagoda and monastery, and they'll meet resident novice monks. They can walk or drive all the way to the top for some of like really beautiful views of the ship and the whole surrounding countryside, which is also, yeah, a nice viewpoint for some great photo stops. But what's actually the highlight is another scenic and rich moment. Namely, they will receive a blessing from a monk, and they learn how to pray in this Buddhist pagoda. So they really get to partake in the whole ceremony, which contributes to the daily meal of the resident monks. And yeah, we see always that the guests really, really love this special moment as well, that they get to participate in. So yeah, back in Kampok Chan, again, different options for excursions, sort of that bring some information on the history, on the industries. One of the options is to learn about the local folklore. There's by visiting Phnom Pros, which is also yeah, a temple that now features a Buddha garden and is home to a local troop of monkeys. There's another alternative they could go is to visit really a drive past shop houses, remnants of the French colonial era. Again, a large central market. They can visit this really big rubber plantation, which was established by the French, and see how that's processed. Yeah, so again, really, really different options for all the guests. And then we're already basically sailing into Siem Reap. Through stops again on the way. And Siem Reap is split in time. So it has this whole ancient and traditional architecture, again, also weaved in with the modern developments. Yeah, so also very nice to see. We disembark in Siem Reap, or yeah, actually near Siem Reap, and then we bring the guests to Siem Reap to their 3-night hotel stay. With Scenic, we work with the Raffles Grand Hotel Dankour, so which you can see here in the picture. Some of you may have seen it, been there. So it's a mix of yeah, French-inspired architecture with some local interior furnishings, making it, again, really perfect for the destination. And we continue there with our scenic and rich moments. So this is really a tour that has several scenic and rich moments. Usually the river cruises in Europe, they have one scenic and rich highlight. Here, I believe we have 4 or 5 that we have on this one tour, including the extension programs. So yeah, again, some really, really nice highlights for the guests to discover. We have the Cambodian Fair Circus, where we have prime seating for the guests to enjoy. It's a circus, but not with animals. So they use theater, music, dance, modern circus arts to tell Cambodian stories. And then, of course, they get to see the different temples, not only Angkor Wat, but we have the Bantai Srai Temple, which is often referred to as the Ladies' Temple because it has this pinkish hue. They visit the Landmine Museum. They can visit a handicraft center to see the Cambodian handicrafts. Of course, Angkor Wat itself is one of the big, big highlights. They will have a visit there with their tour guide in the afternoon. But what's also really a highlight is that the next day, they go back to another scenic and rich moment, which is sunrise over Angkor Wat, followed by a champagne breakfast in a monastery nearby. And the food is prepared by an NGO-supported local bakery school that Scenic also sponsors. And yeah, so it's, again, something really, really special that guests can't do on their own when they're traveling there. We visit some more temples, the Ta Prohm Temple, or this the multi-faced Bayon Temple. That's really on after the breakfast, still in Siem Reap. So again, some different impressions before the end of the tour. And then on the last evening, we have the final scenic and rich moment, which is the temple dinner. So it's a dinner organized in Prasat Kravan, which is a small 10th century temple, where the setup is, again, done exclusively for scenic guests with local Cambodian entertainment and a gourmet gala dinner, which, yeah, is just a fantastic end to this trip. Yeah, so you see there's quite some highlights to be had. I know I'm going a little bit over time, but I'm trying to go through it. But I really want to give you some insights because I'm pretty sure that the Mekong is not such a well-known destination. So for guests who want to extend their stay because they're thinking, yeah, if we're going to be going to Vietnam and Cambodia, we might as well just really see the whole area. you have the possibility of adding on additional elements. So we have, for example, another 3 nights in Hoi An. You could do another night in Hue. You can even choose to do another Ha Long Bay cruise with a stay in Hanoi. So those are all little elements that you can add to the tour to make it just more extensive. Yeah, so this would be a 3-week tour, a 22-day tour. Again, you have the same local scenic tour director from start to finish. You'll have a included daily 60-minute spa session per person per day in Hoi An, because that's also a little bit more of a relaxing extension. We do a royal dinner in Hue. We have another Vespa foodie night tour in Hanoi, which is also a huge highlight. We have a behind-the-scenes water puppet performance in Hanoi as well. And one, of course, of the world's beautiful destinations is sailing through Ha Long Bay. It has over 1,600 uninhabited limestone like little islets that rise out of the waters, and it's just a beautiful place to be. With Scenic, the guests are currently sailing in Ha Long Bay with a company called Auco, which is a luxury company operating in Ha Long Bay. So far, Auco is the only ship sailing a true 3-day, 2-night itinerary through the bay. Hence, it goes deeper into the bay than other ships. And from next season, Scenic will be moving to a new build called Bahia Sol, and then Emerald Cruises will move to Auco. Yeah, so that's what the plans are in terms of that. If you'd like some more information on those ships, please let me know. I can always send you some additional data. Emerald Cruises, don't worry, I'm not going to go deep dive into each itinerary, because the itinerary is very similar. Just the ship is a little bit different. So again, Emerald Cruises inclusions also very complete, but really the essential that's important here. Again, transfers, Wi-Fi, gratuities are included. We don't have butler service on Emerald Cruises. We include all the meals. We include the drinks during the meals, so wine, beer, soft drinks during lunch and dinner, coffee, tea, water throughout the day. So the guests have everything really they need. Everything else is optional. And here you see, so as I mentioned, the ship a little bit bigger, 84 guests. Again, very much look and feel fitting the destination. We have, of course, the amenities again here of a luxury floating hotel with the pool and bar area. This is actually a place in the evening where we also do cinema under the stars, and it's really a nice alternative to the lounge. The guests can, of course, enjoy the time at the lounge as well. Very beautiful in design. And here we have our main restaurant, so the Reflections for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, again, with a daily changing menu, breakfast and lunch being buffet, and dinner being in an a la carte style. Mix again of international and local specialties. So the guests that really want to try the Asian food definitely have that choice. The sun deck outside, they can play mini golf, tic-tac-toe, just pull up a deck chair, enjoy the views. There's a walking track. We do yoga classes, wellness classes here as well. So the guests can really spend some time outdoors. On Emerald Cruises, we have everything from the 1-bedroom owner suite to the Emerald stateroom without a balcony. But again, to compare with Scenic here, you see our Emerald Panorama balcony suite. Again, with the window that goes up and down, it's a little bit smaller than Scenic in the sense that it doesn't have a separate lounge area, but it's still quite a spacious suite for guests to really enjoy their time here. Itinerary-wise, very similar again. We have the whole cruise-only concept, and then we just extend it again with land extensions. Yeah, so to take the example of the one that I just explained to you for Scenic, you would have the same option with Emerald Cruises, just without the scenic and rich elements that we offer. We do have also some Emerald Plus highlights, like a Cambodian circus show, a special dinner, themed night. So we do offer those kind of options as well to give the guests, of course, a special program, but it's just not as wide developed as on Scenic. So again, here, 2 nights in Ho Chi Minh, 7 or 9 night cruise, and then the 3 nights in Siem Reap as an extension. Seasonality, exactly the same. And then again, the option of adding spaces like Halong Bay or Hanoi to the itinerary is, of course, the same option for Emerald cruises. And then you can do the full 3-week tour here as well, which is the grand tour of Vietnam and Cambodia. And just to finish off, I think it's always nice to know, yeah, what is the green season? Do I want my guests sailing when it's raining? We get a lot of agents who tell us, yeah, but I don't want to send my guests in the summer because it's the rain season. It's like the monsoon. Why would I want to do that? So basically, well, the first thing is value for money. I mean, we sail 9 nights for the price of 7 nights. So that's always a win-win. As I mentioned in the beginning, it is a slower paced cruise. We do the same itinerary, but it's just a little bit slow cruising. We take our time. We do have, 2 extra stops as well that we add on this cruise. And we do the touring basically in the morning or afternoon. So the guests have a bit more time to relax. Yeah? So they have time to spend on board as well. Apart from that, basically, the guests have more daytime sailing as well on this cruise, so they see a bit more of the scenery that passes by. Yeah, depending on the itinerary, sometimes we do more nighttime sailing so that the guests have more time, of course, in the destination, but sometimes then they could miss the views just during the tour. Yeah, so this is really something that's really nice to doing a longer tour. And then when it's been raining, it only rains basically an hour in the morning or in the late afternoon. So we can still do the tours. And the advantage of that is that it cools down the temperature considerably. So if you're going in April, it's going to be much hotter than if you're going in July, thanks to the rain that cools it a little bit down. Also, the rain washes everything. So if you go in April, May, sometimes, it has, maybe it's a little bit dusty because it's already still a little bit dry. Whereas if it's raining every day, it has that washed clean feel. It becomes much more lush. For example, Tonle Sap is a lake that we can only visit from July to end of January, early February, more or less, because in April, May, it just dries up, right? So we need the rain again to fill up the lake. So it's actually, quite a nice option to go during the summer months if the guests are fine with traveling at that time. So really don't be afraid of offering it. We see that it's really, really a great time for guests to visit. Also because, of course, it's less touristic, so it's not really high season. So that's already another point. It's just a quieter time. So it gives them a little bit more, a little bit more room, a bit less crowds. And that's pretty much it. So I mentioned last week, we have a Facebook group for B2B in Europe for Scenic and Emerald cruises. Feel free to join if you want to get some new information. And apart from that, I would like to thank you. I'm sorry I went a couple minutes over time. I hope that's okay.